We have more to get to, including new developments in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. The House committee now voting to subpoena Attorney General Pam Bondi over the Justice Department's handling of files related to the late sex offender. NBC's Ryan Nobles joins us from Washington. Ryan, good morning to you. What can we expect from Bondi testifying?
Well, Chanel, good morning. The subpoena from the House Oversight Committee calls for a closed-door deposition, so we can likely expect something similar to what we just saw with Bill and Hillary Clinton, where the committee will record and then later release the video. Bondi will likely be interrogated on transparency issues related to the file's release. The Justice Department was required to publish more than 1 million pages of documents last year, but delayed the majority until this year. Both Democrats and Republicans have also criticized how certain names and information were redacted, while many victims were left identifiable.
This is the moment the Trump administration's house of cards came crashing down. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not a partisan attack. This is a sworn testimony, a signed oath, and a stack of government documents that prove beyond any doubt that the Attorney General of the United States looked Congress in the eye and lied.
Thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for being here today. I'm going to show you two photos.
Thank you.
I'm going to show you two photos of former Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. Under the law Congress passed, you were allowed to redact photos to protect the victims of Epstein's sex trafficking operation. You redacted the photos of this victim's face because you were following the congressional law. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, that we redacted the victim's
Because you were
face?
following the congressional law, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And the most brutal part? She didn't even know her own Justice Department had already released the evidence that would catch her. We are talking about February 11th, 2026, a date that will live in infamy for the Department of Justice. Pam Bondi, Trump's hand-picked Attorney General, walked into a House Judiciary Committee hearing confident, combative, and ready to defend her boss.
You have now established that please put the photos back up, that we are looking at a sex trafficking victim. Under the Federal Victims Trafficking Protection Act, not only is Jeffrey Epstein guilty, but anyone who patronizes Epstein's sex operation is also guilty of a crime. That's why I find it absolutely despicable that you sought to protect Epstein's clients, like former Prince Andrew. Last July, you closed the case on Epstein's abusers. The July 2025 memo from your Department of Justice stated, quote, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties."
She sat at that witness table, raised her right hand, swore to tell the truth, and then proceeded to do the exact opposite. Under oath, on camera, in front of Epstein survivors. And within hours, the world knew she had been caught. Here is what happened. Bondi was being grilled about the Epstein files, those explosive documents that the entire world has been demanding to see. Documents that connect powerful people to a child trafficking ring. Documents that judges have been forcing the DOJ to release because the Trump administration has been fighting tooth and nail to keep them hidden. Democrats on the committee wanted to know why the DOJ was losing court case after court case. They wanted to know why the administration was so desperate to keep secrets. And then Bondi made her fatal mistake. She leaned into the microphone and said, with absolute certainty, "There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime." She said it clearly. She enunciated it. She put it directly into the congressional record. She said it under oath, which means if it is false, she just committed a federal felony. She said it as a definitive, unqualified statement of fact. No caveats. No, we're still investigating. No, to my knowledge. Just a flat, absolute declaration that no evidence exists linking Trump to any criminal activity. The problem? Her own Justice Department had already proven her wrong. At the exact same time Bondi was testifying, documents from the Epstein files her DOJ had been ordered by federal courts to release, were becoming public, and those documents contained information that directly contradicts her statement. Evidence that suggests Trump had connections to Epstein. Evidence that suggests Trump may have known about Epstein's crimes. evidence that suggests Trump was involved in ways that demand investigation. Bondi sat there under the lights, under oath, and said there was nothing, while her own department was putting the something into the public domain. It was a contradiction so blatant, so immediate, so undeniable that even some Republicans in the room had to be stunned into silence. And then Congressman Dave Min, a Democrat from California who sits on the Judiciary Committee and has spent years investigating this administration, stood up and did something rare in Washington. He didn't dance around it. He didn't use polite language. He looked Bondi in the face and said, "You are committing perjury. You are lying to this committee. How can you sit there under oath and claim there is no evidence when your own Department of Justice has released documents proving otherwise?" The room erupted. What followed was not a testimony. It was a brawl. Bondi didn't apologize. She didn't clarify. She didn't say, "I misspoke," or "let me revise that statement." Instead, she went full Trump. She got defensive. She got angry. She started shouting at Min. She started shouting at other Democrats. She started pointing fingers and saying, "Shame on you," to the very people who were confronting her with her own apparent lies. The hearing devolved into chaos. You had the Attorney General of the United States screaming at members of Congress instead of answering their questions. You had Bondi refusing to engage with the substance of the accusation and instead attacking the accusers. You had a sitting cabinet member acting like a cornered animal rather than the top law enforcement officer in the country. And then came the moment that made everyone in that room sick. There were Epstein survivors sitting in the audience, women who had been victimized as children, women whose lives were destroyed by that trafficking ring, women who have waited decades for justice, for accountability, for the truth to come out. They came to that hearing hoping to hear something, anything, that would show the government cares about them. They came hoping to see an attorney general who would acknowledge their suffering and commit to getting them the answers they deserve. Instead, Bondi demanded that Democrats apologize to Donald Trump. She did not say one word of sympathy to the survivors. She did not acknowledge their pain. She did not validate their trauma. She did not promise to pursue the truth for them. She made it about Trump. She made it about whether Trump had been treated unfairly. She made it about protecting the president rather than serving justice for the victims. It was a moment of such profound moral failure that even some Republicans reportedly shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The survivors sat there watching the Attorney General of the United States scream about Donald Trump while they waited, once again, to be forgotten. But the story doesn't end there. Because 2 weeks later, on February 24, 2026, the hammer dropped again. Congressmen Ted Lieu and Dan Goldman, both former prosecutors, both experienced lawyers, both men who know exactly what perjury looks like, sent a formal letter to the Department of Justice demanding a special counsel investigation into Pam Bondi. A special counsel investigation. That is not a press release. That is not a tweet. That is a formal, documented, legally significant demand for an independent prosecutor to investigate whether the Attorney General of the United States committed a felony while testifying under oath. Lieu and Goldman put their names on that letter because the evidence is so clear, so compelling, so undeniable that they are willing to stake their reputations on it. They are saying, in essence, the top law enforcement officer in America lied to Congress, and we need a neutral party to prove it. So let's break down exactly why Bondi's testimony was so damning and why this is going to explode. First, understand the nature of her statement. She did not say, "We haven't found anything yet." She did not say, "The investigation is ongoing." She said, "There is no evidence." That is an absolute claim. It means she is asserting, as a fact, that the entirety of the Epstein files, the entirety of the DOJ's investigative work, the entirety of the evidence gathered over years contains nothing that implicates Donald Trump in any criminal activity. She is saying she has reviewed it all and found nothing. But we know that is false because her own department released documents that contradict her. We know there is evidence. We know there are connections. We know there are questions that need answers. So either Bondi hadn't actually read the files her own DOJ released, which would be incompetence so staggering it alone should force her resignation, or she read them and lied about what they contain, which is perjury. There is no third option. There is no middle ground. She either doesn't know what her own department is doing, or she knowingly lied to Congress. Both are disqualifying for an attorney general. Second, consider the pattern. The Trump administration has been fighting the release of the Epstein files since day one. They have lost court case after court case because judges keep ruling that there is no legal basis for secrecy. They have been caught botching redactions, accidentally releasing victims' names while trying to protect powerful people. They have been using every legal trick in the book to delay, obscure, and hide. And now we have the Attorney General lying about what those files contain. It is a pattern of corruption. It is a pattern of using the Justice Department not to pursue justice, but to protect the president. Third, think about what this means for the midterms. Democrats now have a weapon. They have video of Bondi saying no evidence while evidence exists. They have the congressional record showing her sworn testimony. They have the documents proving she was wrong or lying. They have the special counsel demand. They have the survivors sitting in silence while Bondi demanded apologies for Trump. Every single one of these images is going to be in campaign ads. Every single one is going to be played on loop. Every single one is going to remind voters that this administration is willing to lie under oath to protect itself. And the damage goes beyond politics. This destroys the credibility of the Justice Department. How can anyone trust the DOJ to investigate anything related to Epstein when the Attorney General has been caught lying about the evidence? How can survivors have faith that the system will deliver justice when the person running the system is more concerned with defending Trump than with finding the truth? How can the American people believe in the rule of law when the top law enforcement officer is willing to break it to protect her boss? The special counsel investigation, if appointed, will be devastating. It will subpoena documents. It will interview witnesses. It will put Bondi under oath again, but this time with a prosecutor asking the questions. It will force her to explain under penalty of perjury exactly what she knew and when she knew it. It will expose whether Trump was involved in the decision to lie. It will expose whether the entire administration is complicit in a cover-up. And if the DOJ refuses to appoint a special counsel, if they refuse to investigate their own attorney general, that is its own kind of confession. That will be proof that the system is broken. That will be proof that the Justice Department cannot police itself. That will be proof that Trump has completely politicized the nation's top law enforcement agency. Bondi thought she could walk into that hearing, say what she needed to say, and walk out. She thought the Epstein files were hidden well enough that no one would notice the contradiction. She thought she could protect Trump the way she always has, with loyalty, with aggression, with absolute denial. She was wrong. The documents are public now. The contradiction is documented now. The perjury accusation is formal now, and the survivors are still waiting. They are still sitting in rooms watching attorney generals scream about Donald Trump while their own suffering goes unacknowledged. They are still waiting for someone in power to look at them and say, "We will find the truth. We will get you justice." Instead, they got Pam Bondi demanding an apology for the man who may have been part of the very system that enabled their abuse. This is not over. This is barely beginning. The special counsel demand is just the first step. The investigations will follow. The depositions will happen. The testimony will be given. And eventually, the truth will come out. It always does. Pam Bondi lied under oath. The evidence proves it. The documents confirm it. The survivors witnessed it. And now the legal system is going to have to decide whether the Attorney General of the United States gets to break the law to protect the president. Keep watching. This story is about to get much, much worse for everyone involved.